I think COD at this point, it's just so big, and COD came out at the right time. It won't die. The name of Call of Duty will not die. It just came at the perfect time, and it's just always going to be there.
I would not be surprised that they make a change because the standard that they set and because of where OpTic is. Everybody is just trying to reach that level. Frankly, they seem like they're on a completely different level. Every match that they played was decisive.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 233 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing really good. Yeah. We were just talking before about, well, what were we? We were talking about a whole mess of things.
Oh, we were talking about Call of Duty and
yeah, I think
Battlefield, and
right.
I said that Battlefield's eventually gonna, like, when the new Battlefield comes out, it's hyped up. It's gonna die like by the end of the year. The fan base it's just gonna dwindle off every year, like every Battlefield, and people are like, "This is a COD killer."
The Battlefield people right now are losing their minds.
That's fine. I mean, they know it's the truth.
Well, yeah. Now I remember because I when I was editing the notes this morning for what we're going to talk about, which is mainly all EWC stuff that we just got off of. I remembered that there was a stat in there, and I think it was from Modern Warzone. They put out like a poll talking about the hype level for Battlefield versus COD, and like the discrepancy was huge between the two. Like people were way more hyped about Battlefield, and like when I see that, that's kind of like a I don't know, that's like a gotcha statistic, because I feel yeah, well, and again, there's some nuance to it. Like I said to you, I don't think there's a lot of people who voted in that would actually, if they have the choice between two games, they're not gonna get COD. Like most people. I mean, like for you and I'm not gonna buy Battlefield. The only time I'll play that is either I'm with somebody who has the game, or if it becomes free on PlayStation, which will probably be like in a couple of years that I'll end up actually playing it, But the choice between the two of the games, I'm of course picking COD, and I'm sure as hell not going to buy both those games and, be $140 in debt. It's just like it's not going to happen. And I think a lot of people who vote on stuff like that and say it, when they're on their phone or on their laptop, just saying, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to play COD. I'm going to play Battlefield." I think they're totally full of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that stat, like you said, I think it's just fake because there's no real hard like definition of like how do you measure hype? Like the only way you can truly measure it is just copies of COD sold versus copies of Battlefield sold. And it doesn't take like an insanely smart person to know that Call of Duty has a bigger fan base regardless of like skill level than Battlefield. Like you can talk to Joe Schmo that doesn't even play video games on the street, and this person knows what Call of Duty is. They don't really know what Battlefield is, or they've played Call of Duty at least or whatever. So it's like, when I say it dies off, the community's still going to be there, but the percentage of like Battlefield players stopping to play versus like, everyone says COD's dying, which if you look at the numbers, it's not. But if you look at whether people like the game or not, that's very different. You can't really measure that. But the people that drop off of COD is like the total amount of players of Battlefield combined. I'm exaggerating there, but like I'm sure the percentage is pretty close. Call of Duty has like hundreds of millions of players. Battlefield, I don't even think they have, maybe like 100 million. That's like a rough guess, but I guarantee you COD has hundreds of millions of players.
And something that I mentioned too, because I looked up when the last Battlefield was, which was 2042. When did I say it came out? It was like 2021, something like that, I think. Obviously, they're on a different cycle than COD too. I would imagine that of course, they've got their fan base, and it's going to be like steady. Like there's going to be a steady fan base and like player concurrent on the game as time goes on. But yeah, right now the hype level is just way higher because it's been so long since they've got a Battlefield, and I mean, when I was a kid too, and even still, when I think of the top FPS games, those are the ones that I immediately think of. Like I would think of COD and then I would think of Battlefield. And then it
Mhm,
would probably get to Halo. Um, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't even know that there is like, we know there's a huge competitive scene to Halo.
mhm,
But most people that wouldn't really enter their mind immediately. I think a lot of people would immediately jump to COD and Battlefield being the top two FPSs.
mhm,
And people are excited that, they're coming in, like DICE is coming in and they have all the money and support behind this game. And they're hoping that there's going to be a lot of lessons to be learned regarding, like from COD,
mhm.
that people they're seeing all the backlash and issues that COD has. And they hope that Battlefield is going to be their saving grace and is going to pretty much like give COD the middle finger, being like, look, we actually listen. We
Mhm.
did what people wanted and people love the game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when the game comes out. I'm sure the game will be fine. Again, I'm not gonna buy it. I've just never played Battlefield or was a Battlefield
Right.
fan. But not being a hater or anything, it's just Activision has plenty of money too, and they
Right.
don't give a.
And I'd also
uh,
say to that point, like, well, more to like the hype level, we've also seen more of Battlefield than we have of COD.
mhm.
Like there's been a lot more confirmed about like Battlefield from the trailers that they've released than from what we've seen of Black Ops 7. We really haven't seen,
Yeah,
like, we've
yeah.
seen that one trailer that
Mhm.
really didn't tell us anything, and then we saw like some screenshots that people had, but we don't really know that much of how the game actually looks and plays.
Yeah, and I mean every year right, it's a COD cycle. Like people just like to hate on COD. It's just a meme at this point. And the way that like we can go back to this episode like by the end of the year and measure like truly all right if the hype level like I haven't seen the that poll that you're talking about, the hype level of Battlefield is beating Black Ops 7 by that much. I like to see the number of copies sold by the end of the year versus COD, because
Right.
I would guarantee you regardless COD will beat out Battlefield. But in theory, Battlefield should beat out COD if the hype is there, right? Because the game is what the last game that came out you said was 2021. They've had 4 years to develop this game. The hype should be insane to for this game. That should mean that a bunch of people are going to be buying this game more than Black Ops 7. Call of Duty comes out every year, so we'll see by the end of the year because you know, I'm sure Black Ops 7 is just going to outbeat Battlefield in sales.
Yeah, of course it is. Um, yeah, and again, I think people, once they get their hands on both of them, they're gonna try to see what things Battlefield does right that Call of Duty does wrong. But honestly, they're so different from each other, in my opinion, that you can't really compare the two.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the experience between both those games is so different. It would be a different conversation if you were talking about a game like, X Defiant, rest in peace. Like that was way more comparable to Call of Duty in my eye than Battlefield is. Battlefield is like massive maps, with
Mm-hmm.
long games that take way longer than any Call of Duty match you could possibly play. It's way more in the realm of simulation. Like I use, quotations around that, or realism, than Call of Duty, because it's an arcade shooter. That's what
Mm-hmm.
COD like always is. And I don't think Battlefield's really trying to reach for that. So
Yeah.
I always get confused on the comparison where people are like, "Oh, dude, this one they're gonna do everything right that COD does wrong." I'm like, well, they do way different things to begin with, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you could compare is like the support, right?
Right.
Because, yeah. But exactly. Everyone talks about it. It's comparing apples to oranges. Uh,
Right.
I'm sure you'll get some COD people to go over to Battlefield, but and vice versa. But people are going to just gravitate towards what they really like. It's just two completely different games. Um, and we'll see how Battlefield does. But again, I wouldn't say it's a direct competitor to COD. I think COD at this point was just so it's just so big and COD came out at the right time, like it won't die. Like the name of Call of Duty will not die like Fortnite. It just came at the perfect time, and it's just always going to be there.
Do you think Fortnite's going to die at some point?
No, like I think it's just way too big at this point. Um, I mean, Call of Duty's been around for like well over a decade at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean it's got
Yeah,
to be what, 2 decades,
yeah.
right? It
Oh yeah,
has to
yeah,
be.
yeah.
I mean, dude,
Fortnite,
I tell you, I'm playing Call of Duty Finest Hour again on the PS2.
yeah,
Flea market, $3. Side note.
yeah.
But like, I think that game, bro. When I check the, like, when they show the credits in the beginning, I always trip out because it's like 2004. I'm like,
Hmm.
holy shit,
Yeah.
like that was over 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Let me go see when that game came out because I'm pretty sure. But to your point, yeah, it's been around forever.
Yeah. And Fortnite, I think, will be one of those games too. It won't ever die. They're just going to keep trying to
2004.
innovate.
Yeah, that's crazy. 2004. Yeah, I think so too. But those discussions are always so hard to have because how do you really know what the landscape of gaming is going to be at that point?
Well,
Fortnite's
that's
been
the point.
around for so long already.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's hard to imagine that Fortnite would still be around in 20 years. You know, like
Yeah.
it'd be crazy to think about. But unless they royally screw it up, I'm
Yeah.
sure it should still be around because the amount of money that they're making from it's obscene.
Yeah. And the community itself in Fortnite, like it came out at the perfect time.
It did, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, what for Fortnite came out like, well, it blew up during COVID, but I'm pretty sure it came out like before that. I want to say like 2018, 2017.
2017, yeah.
Yeah, so almost 10 years this game has been out.
Bro, can we just, like, cry on that moment that
Yeah,
2017 was also almost 10 years
yeah.
ago?
So that like it's crazy. If you hit your game at the perfect time, um, whenever that is, and no one really knows when that is because every developer is trying to create, that next one, the next game that's like a generational game that
Like
everyone talks about.
my thing is there a Fortnite 2 ever?
That's I maybe who
Like, would
knows.
that be a good move for them or a bad move? It's like the Overwatch thing. Like, I don't know if
Hmm.
people were super hyped on the Overwatch 2 game
Hmm.
as compared to when Overwatch came out, you know?
Well, yeah, it would have to be. It would have to be like years down the line,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it would have to be enough change to where like it makes sense. But the thing is, Fortnite was the first, the origin of the season pass. Then everyone followed that model.
Right.
They would have to innovate again.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Like they were the pioneers in that, and also that game, it's pretty airtight with like what it covers and the amount of support that they give it, and what the game is trying to accomplish. Like
Hmm.
it is one of the best games ever. How do you really build on that? And like you said, innovate on that.
Hmm.
That's going to take a long time for someone to have to think about like what's the next thing that people want.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and these big games that are around for over a decade, they're not going away unless the developer just chooses to, you know, not support it anymore because a new iteration of it is coming out. Like
Well, that
CS:GO 2.
right. Right. And Battlefield to an extent, because Battlefield's been around for a long time. Like
Hmm.
it's been around for over a decade, no doubt.
Hmm.
Um, but the thing is with them is this is kind of a pro with Call of Duty is that every year you're going to get a new one. So say you don't like MW3 or like for us when we didn't like MW 2019, we know that there's going to be another one coming out and there's a good chance we'll like that one. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because there's just no way that there's going to be 2 shitty years in a row of COD.
Yeah,
But yeah, right. It never happens.
yeah.
But when it comes to Battlefield, everyone's freaking out about the game because it's been so long that they've had a new one. Can you imagine if this sucks? Like this game comes out and people are like, "Are
Mhm.
you fucking kidding me?" Like
Well, that's
this is
what happened with
terrible.
the last one.
Yeah,
Like I remember when that trailer dropped out for the last one, and everybody's like, "This game's gonna be great." They had like Courage in it, and Courage like had his own. Well, it wasn't just him; it was a bunch of streamers. They had their own like promo shot in it.
right.
People stopped playing it after like 3 months.
Well, dude, talk about something that I saw no, literally last night. I was gonna say a couple hours ago. I literally saw it last night and I got so depressed over it. Remember those skate games that I'd play?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I love the Skate series. And Skate 3, I mean, I'm over here like looking this up over here 24/7. Skate 3 release date. That came out in 2010,
Hmm.
which is insane. So 15 years ago that game came out. And now they're talking about Skate 4 and they're showing
Hmm.
like, the gameplay and all this stuff. Meanwhile, there's been other like skateboarding sims that have come out. Like there's a Skater XL and then there's this one that I play all the time called Sessions. It's a phenomenal game. It is like a true skate simulator.
Hmm.
Um but, Skate like that series just had a style and a vibe and everything about it that was like iconic. Bro, Skate 4 looks so bad. Like it is
Hmm.
they went to this weird like cell shading route with how the
Oh.
characters they're like almost animated and like
Hmm.
a non-real like they don't
They
look
tried to
real at
make it look
all.
old, but
Oh,
it's not old.
oh, dude, like I saw people in the comments on here just like, "What did you do?" Like,
Yeah.
they totally they tried to be so, like, hip and trendy.
Hmm.
There's this game, Need for Speed Unbound. Like, if anyone's ever played that, that's almost the realm that they're going with this game where everyone's like, they've got super realistic cars, but everyone's, like, cell shaded, you know,
Hmm.
and not very realistic. But the skate it's like so that for them, the skating looks real,
Hmm.
but everything else, like the environment and how they are, is so wrong. And
Yeah.
I already know that that game, before it even comes out, people are already just it's like, "Oh, it's dead in the water, bro." It's
Yeah.
like 15 years, and this is what you guys brainstorm.
Hmm.
Like, Battlefield could be that too. These guys, like, all these years later, like, dude, COD is like, downhill. We need a savior in the FPS genre, and they could just completely fall flat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It's a risk with pumping out a game every year because, you don't have the time to really develop the game. And then the risk on the other side is you take your time on the game. You think you have a good idea, you put it out, and it's just garbage, like immediately.
No, too much time, bro.
Dude, there is no right or wrong way. Like the only correct way is to put out a good game. Regardless if it takes you a year to create it or 10 years to create it. You just have to put out a good game. And then the other developers like Naughty Dog. They put out amazing games, but they don't pump out games every single year. But could you imagine if they released like Uncharted for the last game in the series and it just sucked after
Oh,
all the years of waiting? That doesn't happen.
their ratio of like good games to bad games is very low,
Yeah.
and that's why I think they got so much shit with The Last of Us 2, because that's
Mhm.
like one of the only games I would say that they've ever released that it's controversial, that it's
Yeah.
not good.
Mhm.
Like every Uncharted, it's like always a question of which one's the best.
Mhm.
All the Jack and Daxters, which is the best. Same thing with Crash Bandicoot. But then The Last of Us, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Last of Us 2. Not like it's a bad game, but
Mhm.
you know, I mean,
It's mixed reviews because people didn't. It's Let's be realistic. It's an ending that nobody wants,
yeah,
and that's why a lot of people don't like it.
right,
And you make like I think that's the whole point.
right,
The ending sucks. Like it's realistic to the world. Like no one wants that. Everyone wants a happy ending, and then you make us want to like feel bad for the character that killed off your main character. No
right,
one wants to do that.
right.
Um, but I think that was the whole point, to like play with their emotions the entire time.
Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, even still, like those games, I don't think there's many people that would say Last of Us 2 is terrible,
Mhm.
But again, there is a preference with that game. But even if it's not viewed by 95% of the population who play games and play those games as incredible, then there's
Mhm.
a problem, you
Yeah.
know. Um And same thing with Rockstar. Like all their games are like that too. I mean, bro, they've had all this time for GTA 6. There's
Mhm.
no chance this game in their eyes it can't be perfection.
Exactly, yeah,
Now,
they will not let it flop,
and
and
it
that's yeah.
it trips me out because those guys have so much time and have spent so much time on that game and know what people want and have the right vision. But then to my thing with Skate, like what were we doing, bro? Like
Yeah.
they took all that time and they went where nobody wanted them to go
Mhm.
to, you know, where that's where I think those guys probably should have had less time, you
Well, they
know.
gotta I think they gotta research their demographic more about stuff like this, and that's why, yeah, a new FPS is just hard. Ju If you think of an FPS at the end of the day, like any FPS multiplayer game, it's all the same stuff.
Right.
So, like, how do you make it different enough to where it, like, really stands out? And I think COD is just at the point where it's so big that it will be a meme no matter what. There's gonna be people that hate it just to hate it, and I think that started around, like, I wanna say Advanced Warfare. I think that's when it really started, where people are like, "Oh, this COD just sucks. It's going downhill, downhill." And then ever since then, the hating on COD has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and, like, yeah, rightfully so at times. Um, but as more haters come, I feel like COD just keeps growing and growing and growing, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean look, even in our little bubble of the CDL fans and whatnot, people were hating on this game competitively all year, and then this weekend we come off of arguably one of the greatest weekends of Call of Duty that we've had in a long, long time.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, just and especially, I would even say Championship Sunday was one of the best days of Call of Duty that we've had in a very long time. I saw Octane say it on the flank, like it rivaled. What was it, Major One champs,
Mhm.
like, but that was one match,
Yeah.
which was again one of the best matches ever. But that whole day on Sunday was just it was insane. And this
Mhm.
is on a game again where most people were just writing it off and saying that it's shit and it's broken, and we've been those people too. But then here you go, they're playing in Riyadh at the Esports World Cup for like what we said the prize pool was it 1.8.
Yeah, 1.8.
Yeah, $1.8
Mhm.
million dollars. It's like, man, Call of Duty's in a good spot.
Yeah, regardless what people think, COD's just
Exactly. Yeah.
big. The support's just not there. That's
Right.
where it's a bad
Right.
spot. But yeah, the Esports World Cup from last episode, was our prediction right? It was very wrong. But
Oh,
like,
bro, good thing we don't have gambling problems because I'm
yeah,
telling you, dude, like, I mean, I'd be fucking broke, but you just can't bet on this stuff. You really have
yeah,
like at the end of the day, you can't predict how like most of these matchups go, especially this weekend. It was
yeah,
absurd.
yeah. Like we both said these were gonna win. They got farther than FaZe did, but
They made
they
it out of pool play.
they lost to the champions. So I
Yeah.
mean that that's respectable. At
Right. And
least
it
you
was
didn't lose
single
to
limb.
some. Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, we were completely wrong. Congrats to Optic Gaming, not Optic Texas, Optic Gaming. Um, and if people are like wondering why, it's because Esports World Cup is not associated with the CDL, so they can't use the same branding and name. So that's why you see Optic Gaming, FaZe, like what else? The
Koi Movistar or Movistar Koi.
Yeah, the Team Heretics.
Yeah.
That was like I when I saw that I was like, oh wow, this is so weird because I still call them Miami,
Right.
but they are just heretics.
Yeah, I find it a little confusing, and especially for someone who'd be like a first time viewer, it'd
Oh,
be
a new viewer,
confusing,
yeah,
you know.
100%.
But honestly, though, I kind of like it.
This is what it used to be.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like an old
exactly.
guy
It's like
saying
it
it, but
harkens back to
yeah,
that. And so it's cool when you see it's like Optic Gaming versus 100 Thieves. You're like, oh hell yeah, we're
Mhm.
back in like the old days there. And it's cool, but um, yeah, I mean, I was pretty mind blown this whole weekend as to how it panned out. Um, Obviously going into it, with Optic, they won they won COD champs, and we had a month break in between. So the real question was going to be how how much of the other teams caught up to OpTic as OpTic slacked off. And I would say that the other teams for sure got better, but so did
Mhm.
OpTic. They looked like they really hadn't missed a beat from when they were playing in champs. Um, and the other teams, like the main ones I was thinking of was Vancouver and Miami. Well, Vancouver was still Vancouver, but then yeah, Team Heretics.
Yeah.
They looked insane, and the other teams like we mentioned, FaZe and Thieves. We'll talk about their whole journey. I think they looked a little bit better, both
Mhm.
teams, honestly. FaZe less so, but yeah, they were not able to catch up to the top three teams, which again was for sure OpTic, Miami, and Vancouver. They were just in like a league of their own for most of the
Mhm.
tournament.
Yeah, and like our pick Thieves when they came. I mean, when they came out of pool play, they're frying, and uh Scrap said, obviously we're taking this seriously. And I think the first match he dropped like 40 kills in the hard point. I'm like, what the hell? All right, these look really good. And then you know, they make it into bracket play, they play against OpTic. That's tough. Like first matchup, but at least you're losing to the champions. Um
Right.
and yeah, like you said, OpTic just they stayed consistent. They kept up with where they were at COD champs, and they just looked insane. They looked unstoppable the entire time, and they were so confident too. And you have to give like everyone on their team their flowers because they
Yeah.
literally went from an 0-18 team where everybody's like, you have to consider changing, and they did make changes. They made multiple changes, and it got to the point where even like all green wall fans are like, all right, this season's just chalked. It's all right. We'll wait until the next game. We'll figure it out. And then this random guy, Merc, just pops out of nowhere from Ultra. And then he's like OpTic savior. Like he is the guy. And I think I remember
Is
it
he
was
the
like
legacy savior, Justin?
no, that's not going to stick. uh, the I saw a stat of Merc, but I think it was like episodes ago when he like first joined OpTic, when OpTic picked him up, and people were saying, "Oh, this guy might be the real deal. Like he could change this team." And then he had his first event with OpTic, and he looked so dominant. And I remember saying, "I haven't seen a rookie that dominant since Simp, like coming into Black Ops 4. Granted, different situations and not as many tournaments, but Merc in his technically rookie year, he has better stats than Simp did his rookie year, which is insane. Like his average placing right now, yes, he didn't play that many events, but is a little over second place, and career earnings over $400,000. Like that's insane. Insane. And his stats too, better than Simps during his rookie year. Haven't
Yeah.
seen that since then. And Black Ops 4 came out 2017.
Mhm.
That's insane. Like it took that long. And Merc just started playing Respawn this year.
I
It's
mean,
crazy.
I mean, dude, you got to think about what we're talking about, right? Which is these guys who are just generational talents,
Mm-hmm.
And I think Merck has proven himself as one of those generational talents in Call of Duty that, like a simp, where he just comes around like every once in a while and completely changes the landscape of what is the peak of being a Call of Duty player, like how good you can actually be. Because Simp, like when he came in, I mean, dude, you like those clips of him sniping
Mm-hmm.
like Black Ops 4. I mean, it's unbelievable to see those and like how he was just outclassing people and still does. But then to see now the next version of Simp come in,
Mm-hmm.
where and which is wild to think that Simp is a veteran,
Yeah.
because it wasn't that long ago that he was just starting off like halfway through the season, or like we were at the tail end of the season. Um, but Merck is one of he's like in the new realm of those players who are going to take over and are going to be in demand from nearly every team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, OpTic, I don't want to say they got lucky getting him, but they kind of did, like
Mhm.
I heard Shotzi in his post interview was hilarious. Like, shout out the border agent, like
Yeah,
that whole situation. Cause he's right. I
yeah.
mean, the circumstances for them to actually get him, you could get Merc on the team
It all
is
had to
luck.
align. It all
Yeah,
had to
like the
align.
stars had to align, but they also had to just act on him and be like, look,
Mhm.
we have to go and make another team change, but we need this guy. And he completely turned that team around. I was just listening to the flank earlier this morning when they were talking about Shotzi and Merc and like the whole superstar debate,
Yeah.
which I don't want to get too crazy into it, but I think like Merc for sure is a superstar, and so is Shotzi.
Mhm.
But I think what it is that Shotzi, um, like prior to this whole this change, he needed somebody to enable him to play that way that he has played. I mean, he
Mhm.
was like that when he was on Dallas. He was
Yeah.
insane, and same
Mhm.
thing from last year, like towards the end of the year when he was at that OpTic team. Kenny and Pred were playing a certain way that enabled him to play at the level that he can.
Mhm.
Um, where I mean, he's just takeover. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like when you watch him. I mean, dude, I was like I was yelling. I was like, oh, like all the time watching him
Mhm.
because it's just play after play, he's doing insane things, and winning them the game. So yeah, both those guys were, deserving of like MVPs throughout the whole weekend. They were ridiculous. I mean, all the guys too. Dashy
Mhm.
and Hoop too. They had insane. Like Dashy got that 4 piece on Hacienda Hardpoint, I
Yeah.
think.
I think
Yeah,
Dashy finished the Sunday with like a 1.48.
yeah, which is
That's
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but
Um,
that's what I'm saying though. All those guys work off of each other right now,
mhm.
and they just elevate each other to be like the best versions. And that's why I think that team has caused serious problems now because in the
Mhm.
off
So
season, everybody's going to be trying to like figure out how do we take these guys down,
mhm.
and do you take a chance on the upcoming like AMs, the class of Mercules, the guys that he played with.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
the question.
some would say this is a team game
No,
because
you don't say.
the whole yeah, Chachi's a superstar. If you don't think he is, not even gonna bother arguing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just a dumb argument when like, oh, he's enabled to do that. Same with everyone. Every player has to be enabled to be the best player that they can be. Admit that is the dumbest argument ever. That's like if you and me, we know if we're playing together, we work off of each other a lot better than if we were playing with someone else
Right.
because our play styles suit each other.
Mhm.
Like,
100%.
and if you take Simp and Abeezy, their duo, they work really well off of each other. If you take Abeezy and put them with like Pred, we don't know that. We've never seen that combination, but odds are in the beginning they're gonna suck. Um,
Right.
and like Vancouver is a perfect example of Neptune being enabled by his entire team and like vice versa. Him enabling his other players, they fried. They went 0-5 in finals this year. That sucks. But
Yeah.
the fact that they're able to, you know, no one would have expected that Neptune was going to come into this Vancouver team and they're going to be a top team like all year. No one, like looking on paper,
Especially
no one would have said
us
that.
who had seen him play previously, you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah. Like his rookie year and like he's a Halo kid and that year like he just wasn't good like at all.
Yeah,
It
he
was his
was
rookie
on,
year, you know.
subliners with who? Clay and Krim and,
Yeah, Clay, Krim,
Kismet, maybe?
yeah, Kiz, yeah, yeah.
Something like
Diamond
that. I
Con was
mean,
on there at some point. That team changed a lot.
yeah, I mean, he was thrown into a shit situation, and he unfortunately, like, his name kinda got dragged through the mud. I remember Krim talking shit about him. You remember that?
Yeah,
Saying, like,
yeah,
he doesn't know how to throw a fucking nade, like, some of these things he just didn't know how to do, and,
yeah,
yeah, people thought poorly of him. So nobody could have predicted that he would have changed that team and did what he did with them.
yeah. And then you look at the rest of the team too, and it's like nothing on the players, but like you got Abuza and 04, their second year in the league. Like you're not going to expect anything crazy out of them. Like it's their second year, and then Nasty, who's been like in and out of the league. Like yeah, he came in second in EWC last year, but they had a lot to prove, like on this team. No one would have predicted that this team was going to be a top 3 team by the end of the year, and a team that's consistently making the finals. So, yes, Shotzi was enabled by his amazing teammates to unlock his full potential, but same with every other team. And like we can even go to the amateur teams, these AM teams that were in pool play. FaZe lost a lot actually
Right.
against amateur teams. And I mean, obviously you and I were surprised about that. A lot of other people were surprised about it too. But then you look at the players on, these AM teams, they're not amateur players, right? Like you have to take them seriously. And it just shows that there is talent out there. And yeah, the talent may be former players, but it shows that we need a bigger league. You know,
Yeah.
I if you watch the CDL and you look at FaZe's team and you put them up against Omit's team on paper, you have a bunch of like players on Omit that are great individually, but them on paper, you would be like, there's no way. They don't stand a chance. But that's a cool thing about COD. They always do. And
Right.
they beat FaZe and knocked them out.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to touch on some of these AM teams because, like the one that you just mentioned, that Omit team, um, they could easily be a CDL team
Mm-hmm.
and do quite well. I mean, I think they were looking at this. Well, them and Five Fears were the two teams that made it out of the group stage and into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the Omit team was the one that a lot of people were really impressed with just because of how well they played. Like then they had to go up against Ultra, which was a tough one, of course. Um, but they looked like a really good team. That was the one with Vivid, Craze, Mac, and Mamba.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think why people were so high on that team is because it was a perfect blend of having Vivid and Mac on there, who, like, to what we've just been saying, those guys, depending on the team that they're with, they're gonna be enabled. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like Vivid works great on that team. I mean, we're huge Vivid fans. You know, so seeing him on that team and doing the dirty work and like I love seeing his stats because he's like always negative, but he's always the highest damage. Like he's always the
His
most interactions.
engagements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
making the plays that like and I heard I think it was Zuma had said it too. It's like you'd rather have someone making plays and trying and failing than someone who just doesn't make any plays, you know?
No, yeah,
And
exactly. You want
and
someone like punching the door over and over and over and just applying pressure.
right, right. And he does that. And again, that so you got two guys that were in the league this year and then got dropped. And then having the other two guys, Craze and Mamba, that a lot of people were impressed with. This goes into what I was saying earlier. These are guys that, I mean, from all accounts, they performed really well. And I think any team, like the 8 through 12 teams, and even potentially some of the teams like 4 through 8 or five through, or sorry, was it 4 through 6, 5 through 6? Like those teams, they could definitely benefit from picking up one or two of those players.
Or
Um,
just a whole
they,
team in general.
well, I mean, that's, some people are saying that, like, I mean, fuck, any of these teams like LAG or,
Gentlemates should just do that.
Gentlemates, like, Gentlemates would be a better team if they scrapped everybody and they just picked up that team.
Yeah.
They would immediately probably be a much better team. But yeah, it was good to see some of these AMS teams come out and show some strength. Uh, I think we had said in the last episode, you never know really what's going to happen with them. Um, but I was expecting a little bit more from some of the other teams, but there were a few of those AM teams that got absolutely dusted. Like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
they got rolled over immediately, which it does show that there are levels to the game. If you think you're good at the game, you'd probably get slapped by those AMs, and those
Mhm.
AMs just got slapped by pros. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
you
And
put that into perspective.
that's like the best thing. Back in the day, it was 32 teams. Like so those teams are gonna get slapped. Everybody knows that. And part of it was like it was fun watching OpTic back in the day, like play a random ass team. They're winning like 200-10. And
Right.
Formal's just like they're not trying.
Right.
Formal's laughing. They're trying to world star these guys in game. And they're like, we're gonna get through this. But then you get a handful of those teams just out of nowhere, like no name guys.
Omit with FaZe.
Yeah, yeah, and they're just beating pro players. And that's also too how like a lot of these now vets are like coming up in the scene. Simp and Scrap, they used to run like locals. Like everybody
Right.
feared Simp, but he couldn't play because he wasn't 18 yet. And then as soon as that kid turned 18, it was over for the league. And he came in and just like dominated.
Yeah.
Um that's why like pool play is so cool. And if they had more teams, it's like interesting. And two, like for the people that watch, like you have games all the time. There's so many matches that you can watch. And that's like the best thing. Instead of, yeah, the schedule's nice. We know we have 3 games here, but then the 3 games finish, and you're like, well, now what? In this format, games are just happening all the time until bracket play.
Yeah, in this format, it was so fun to watch as a spectator too. It was just better because to your point, there was so much going on, and there was always a match. I liked how they had them staggered.
Mhm.
So when one match started, it would be like 15, 20 minutes afterwards, and they'd have the next one start. So by the time the match that you were watching more than likely would conclude, the other one was like hadn't finished yet either. So that you could kind of be able to catch both of them on each other's breaks.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I was I was enjoying it a lot more than watching the CDL, if I'm being honest, just because of the amount of games that you've got going on. Um, but that's only possible if you've got more teams, and that's what I wish the CDL would do as time, and
Mhm.
I hope they do as time goes on. They could just have like a 16 team league, because then a format like this would work,
Mhm.
and it would just be more exciting. You're like and it was kind of weird because I don't know if they had different streams like for like us to go and watch. I didn't watch any other streamers other than like Scump and Zuma,
Mhm.
and they would just have they would just switch on random when they
Oh,
had
you
downtime.
mean like side stations and stuff?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I didn't.
they had
Yeah,
that. But
um,
like to that point with the side streams. So again, that's what it used to be back in the day. You had like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, whatever.
Delta. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Depending how many matches you had, like when you had 32 teams, like it would go all the way to Delta, and it would just be games going on and on and on.
Right,
And right now the CDL is formatted to, you have your set schedule, you this many matches per day, um, mimicking, that sports like style like format. But if you really want to mimic it, they should mimic like if people watch like NFL Red Zone, that it's literally games all the time where you have 4 screens. Like during the NFL season, I'm one of those guys where like I have 4 games going on the TV. I have 2 more going on my laptop, and I have another one on my iPad. And with COD, like back in college, that's what I would do. I would pull up every screen a separate game, so then you
right.
can keep up. And the true fans are doing that. Like they're
Which is
trying to
fire.
keep up with everything. Um, and with this format, it's possible. The more COD, the better. And those streams, it's not like people are commentating like all the time. Again, most of these matches are just pool play, but it's nice to know that this Heretics team back when they were like coming up, they can make a run right now. If they beat these couple of teams, they're gonna play FaZe. And if they play FaZe, there's a chance that FaZe gets knocked out of pool play and they're not even making the bracket. So
Right.
just keeping up with all of these teams. And then too for new spectators, you get to see the AMs actually play. And you're like, oh, I remember that guy played for X team. And now like 2 years later, this player's on one of the top AM teams and is probably next one up.
I mean, that's exactly the story of Omit,
Yeah.
right? Like, people saw that team and were interested in it, and knew that that guy Mamba and Craze were good players, but then they had to go play FaZe round one, and everyone like I was thinking, okay, FaZe is gonna dust these guys. Like, there's no way they haven't been in the lab and working on this, and FaZe barely beat them.
Mhm.
Like it was an insane match. Um, and I remember Drazza tweeting that side note. He was just like, something about along the lines of like, "I call game." I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, you barely call game. Don't even start. Like, but to like then that happened, FaZe, and then they go and they play Heretics, and everybody's thinking that's going to be a great match. And how that Omit match went, people were thinking Heretics going to beat him, and they shit on him.
Yeah.
And then they had to go and play Omit again, and they lost. That
Hmm.
was it. I mean, FaZe didn't even, yeah, they didn't even make it out of the group stage, like out of pool play. A massive upset.
Hmm.
That happened on like while other games were going on. So
Yeah.
you had to make sure that you were watching that one. And again, one that nobody probably predicted. I mean, I thought that FaZe by this point, with all that time off, they would have been in the lab and would have been working at the hard points, and because that was their main struggle.
Hmm.
And it didn't really come to fruition for them. They fell short yet again in the
Hmm.
two biggest tournaments at the end of the year. And I now and same thing with Thieves. Like I think Thieves, they did make it out, and then was
They
their
lost.
first, yeah, was
They
their
played
first match
OpTic.
Optic, or did
Yeah.
they? Yeah, I mean, so they had to go and play Optic right away, and they lost, and then that was it. Um, and now the whole discussion is about the future of those two teams, which we talked a little bit about it on the phone last or yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, I have absolutely no idea what the plan going forward is for either of those teams.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Both on the flank and Scump stream, they ended their streams and they're like, the off season's gonna be crazy. I'm like, you guys already know, like stuff is already in the works. I'm sure teams are already formed. They have an idea, and they're just teasing at this point. Everyone's like,
Right.
it's gonna be crazy, and I'm sure it will. But like you and I, the casual fans, have to sit and wait.
We're going to be
Um,
drip fed it.
yeah, uh, but I have no idea what's gonna happen. I know last episode, if you guys go back and listen, we had like random predictions because people are saying that FaZe is just gonna have to break up. These maybe who knows? Like we don't know their contracts. If FaZe breaks up and if these break up, obviously it's not gonna be all four players on each team. Like it's gonna be stragglers here and there, but there is a lot of potential for a huge shakeup going into next year, especially with Falcons coming in too, and they just have a bag and they could just offer it to anyone. Um, but I hope that they don't just like offer a giant bag to everyone and like not think about it. But they do have Clay there, so I'm sure he's thinking about it.
They're talking to him being like, what's a good team?
Yeah, yeah. What do we need
money's,
right?
money's not an issue. What's a good team? He's like, okay,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
here's a God squad. Let me tell you.
yeah. If
Um,
if that team of Abizi, Cell, Pred, and if Exit stays, that guy, okay, like insane that he went from playing with the best players in his region and now he's playing
you're the
with
best people on planet Earth.
world champs.
Yeah.
That's insane. That is sounds like a really good team.
Yeah, I think so too. And the only problem or question that I guess is going to be going on during the off season is how many of these teams take a chance and invest on some of the young players that they saw in the amateurs.
Mhm.
Like does Craze get picked up? Um, and like the one guy we didn't really talk about on what's the name of the team? The Movistar Koi.
Mhm.
I,
Abe.
I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
that name. Like Koi is cool, but Movistar Koi, it just
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
work
Get
out.
rid of the
But
branding.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Abe.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously the dude was devastated, but man, he got what, third place? Was it third?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
third place.
yeah,
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 third
third
because he
place.
beat Miami. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, third
And he did
place in his
well.
first ever tournament. Yeah, and he did
Mm.
really, really well.
Mhm.
Like he's for sure a top prospect going in. I don't think he's at the level of like a Mercules, where I mean, I said at the beginning, generational talent, I believe. But he's a really, really good player. A lot of teams could upgrade with having someone like him on their team. But it's going to be the question of these teams wanting to take a risk on someone like him where they see one tournament, or they go and they stick with the standby names that they know, and they end up building some subpar roster here.
Mhm. Well, and that's the thing with this format that sucks is if we just had 4 more teams, it would look so much better. And like the bottom teams right now in the CDL, there's no reason for them to not just drop their entire team and pick up an AM team. And I'm thinking more like I say it's easier said than done because even the bottom tier teams, you have like they all have one player for the most part that's like, do we want to drop them? Like Gentle Mates, for example. Like, do you want to keep Kiz because you've seen how good Kiz is, or do you think okay, maybe it's time to move on from him because he was like the superstar talent that we wanted and it just didn't work. So maybe we let him go and then just sign all 4 players of like Omit, and now they're Gentle Mates. Or do we still try to hold on to that one superstar and build around them? You know, because Kiz had like a shitty couple of years, and everyone like I'm not even gonna say like a couple of years. It was mainly it was this year, like just awful.
Yeah, especially where he came from too.
He was a world champ.
Yeah, and like Priestahh was like that too, and he was
Yeah.
dealt a bad hand, yeah, because he had to jump off that
Speaking
team.
of enabling,
Yeah,
Priestahh
exactly.
looked like God on the subliners team.
Yeah, again, he fits that perfectly. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a real question for these teams as to what they want to do. I mean, that whole situation for sure. I'm sure is going down. They're trying to think of what they think is best for the team, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
Kismet's thinking that too. Do I want to go somewhere else and see if I can try to link up with somebody and get some other gel going with another team?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's going to be a pretty wild off season. This whole EWC major or this whole event, um, it really opened people's eyes as to like what the landscape is looking like right now in COD because these teams had time to put in to try
Mm-hmm.
to prepare for this. I really think there's no excuse. Like if you're showing up to this flat or not as good, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, you had all this time, especially for like I'm thinking of Thieves and FaZe. The bar is set so high for those teams for them to come out and once again perform poorly. Uh, that's why I would not be surprised that they make a change
Mm-hmm.
because of the standard that they set and because of where OpTic is. Everybody is just trying to reach that level because, frankly, they seem like they're on a completely different level. Every match that they played was decisive. That one Miami match that I remember I called you about it because I
Mm-hmm.
just could not believe it. Down 0-2, like and as close as it possibly was 249 250. Then
Yeah.
they got reversed on the search. It was round 11 search and then 3-2 control that they won,
Yeah.
like barely
Barely.
won it.
Yeah.
Barely. I watched it again, like I don't know, before we started recording, maybe like half hour before this. Um to see how that whole final round played out because it happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it was just down to like one little play.
Yeah.
Ashy was the one who got the final kill. He was the one who traded out. I think it was Shotzi because Shotzi got the kill like at the corner there below the steps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking again one or two like small mistakes like that, and it goes to Miami 3-0. That was the only time they were really battle tested. They walk it back, and then
Mm-hmm.
they completely walk all over Vancouver.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the standard for this off season, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's going to be chasing that.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting because going into going into this year, right? The everybody's mindset was we have to build a team to beat OpTic because they're the world champs, obviously. Let's be honest, no one needed to build any team to beat them because they just sucked. Like no one needed to do anything. They just sucked. And now coming out this year, they're the team again to build that they have. Like, all right, we have to build a team to beat them because they look so far ahead. And this is why I like COD. It's just so interesting because yeah, they are at the top again. Again, they just look so good. I'm not downplaying anything about them, but we're going into another game. It could happen again. Could you imagine going into Black Ops 7? Games similar to Black Ops 6 from like what we've heard, but then like there's just a fall off again. You imagine? And then, the whole like storyline will develop itself again. Merc sucks. He wasn't the legacy talent that everybody needed. That's
Pat's gonna
why
be calling him the Legacy
yeah.
Destroyer.
This is why COD is like so cool, because you don't know at the end of the day. You really don't know. Yes,
Right.
you should be building a team to beat OpTic because they just won. But no one would have predicted that OpTic would go 0-18 after winning champs.
No, no chance at all.
And after watching COD, like anything can happen at this point. And yeah, going into this year, we saw Thieves, that super team that they built. Yeah, they won 2 championships, but obviously they built this team to be the best of the best, and that didn't happen. And then same with FaZe, like when that team formed. So I think it's going to be big when players from those 2 teams are not on the team anymore. If like a roster change does happen, those guys are going to be the big move players, because once one of those players move, it's going to shift a lot of things. And like everyone just likes Rostermania. It's going to be interesting to see what all the teams do, because we've talked about it. Once the heavy hitters and like star players, superstar players are gone, then what are the other teams going to do?
Right. Yeah. I thinking of that FaZe team not being a team anymore is hard to picture.
Yeah.
But
But
there's a very high probability that that's going to be the case going into next year.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is what's so great about Call of Duty, right? Is we have no idea. FaZe may say they do make a change, and then they're like the next Call of Duty comes around, like they're not going to be terrible,
Yeah.
but people will think, dude, if they stuck, like would they have been
Yeah,
better? You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they could maybe like always bow out like fourth, fifth place, and people are like, dude, if they had the original team like last year, bro, they won 2 championships. Why did they split up? Like
Mm-hmm.
they literally won half of like the main tournaments in the year. Um, there's gonna be a lot of unanswered questions if that happens, but um, yeah, everyone's gonna be chasing OpTic right now, and I have a feeling that team is going to continue to do well. Most of the time, the guys who are the best players always find a way to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really don't know because OpTic, if I remember, they looked really, really good against New York when they beat them at champs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they did have
Okay.
like EWC, they didn't look as good.
Yeah.
Um,
They didn't
yeah, I
care
can't.
though. They won champs.
Right.
And then
Well,
FaZe looked really good because they won EWC. And I mean, you could argue if they didn't win EWC, maybe they would have made a roster change going into this year.
do you remember where FaZe placed at COD champs for
Uh,
MW2? Were they third?
I want to
Like
say,
third or
I'm sure top 4. Like if I'll look it
right?
up
They
now.
had to
Like,
have been.
yeah.
Because it was OpTic in New York that were 1-2, and then I want to say FaZe was probably third. FaZe must have lost to New York in like losers finals or something, to make that or so I can't exactly remember how it panned out, but
Mm,
yeah, they I'm pretty sure they did quite well against New York, but then at EWC they had like a bit of an earlier exit. I think they probably got like fourth or fifth place. Um, but seeing how OpTic dominated COD champs, they didn't lose to anybody, and same thing here at EWC, they didn't lose to anybody. And I mean, poor Vancouver, they got 4-0'd again.
they came fifth,
After,
sixth,
yeah,
not champs.
yeah, right. So, and what about EWC?
They
Oh no,
won.
no, EWC they stayed fifth, sixth, yeah.
No,
Uh,
EWC they won. COD champs, they came fifth, sixth.
FaZe did.
Yeah, FaZe did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, sorry. I was thinking about OpTic for a second there because I was wondering now where OpTic placed at EWC. Because to my point, like this OpTic squad right now, they just look so good in both the final tournaments of the year. Whereas OpTic, yeah, they looked insane at COD champs, but then when EWC came around, they didn't look as good. If you really care to read into that, that could be something, but I don't know. I,
They
I
came
think
third,
again,
fourth.
yeah,
But
not
see,
bad.
again, like these, this is why COD is so interesting. You can't count out any of these teams. Like FaZe
No,
went from fifth, sixth at
to
COD
win.
champs and then won all of EWC.
Right.
Yeah, and like you said, OpTic looked dominant at champs. They beat they almost swept them. They won like 5-1. Like they look dominant. And then
Right.
same against Surge. But yeah, I think going into next year, this team's going to be the team to beat. And like, I don't know, maybe they come off like super hot. Again, like I always think of the new game as a restart, but you're always going to think OpTic, FaZe, and Thieves are always going to be top teams regardless. They're just, the trio of teams at the top. Like you always expect them to have a good team. It's just a matter of who's gonna like learn the game a bit quicker in the beginning.
Right.
Then it'll shift. But yeah, overall, I'm sure if Thieves make a change or if FaZe makes a change, they're gonna have to compete against OpTic,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's gonna be a battle regardless. And if I had to predict, those three teams are gonna be at the top again next year. So
That's a safe prediction, but
very safe prediction.
our
Yeah.
safe predictions have not always landed us correctly. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's what's fun though. Who knows? FaZe could be dog shit next year.
Yeah. I mean, OpTic was dog shit this year. Like you
They were
look at
dog shit
overall
all year.
placing, they almost
All year.
didn't make champs, and they
Yep.
just peaked at the perfect time when they needed to. And you can be
The
consistent
legacy
all year.
savior came in
Yeah.
and did
Yeah.
his job.
Yeah. Like I obviously those big teams up top, when they make a change, it's gonna be really shocking, right? Obviously,
Oh yeah.
if the big names make a move. But then after that, once they trickle down to the lower teams, it's gonna be interesting to see what the lower teams can form. Like,
Stellium is now officially a free agent. It's like,
yeah, and like could you like Boston did well for us this year, but like we all know that going into this year, they're gonna evaluate at the team and most likely make a change. And like what's out there, there's so many possibilities for like a team like Boston to
right.
make now. And you got Rocker G2. You got a pretty young team there, and then you got Kenny who played shit all year, and are people just gonna write him off now, even though he was top player like 2 years in a row from Thieves to OpTic, and he had one really really bad year. Are people gonna value his veteran like leadership? I would say yes. Like a team absolutely should. If he wants to come to Boston, that'd be great.
I'm not gonna complain.
Like there's a lot of possibilities with the other teams at the bottom, and too
For
with
sure.
Ultra or the Koi, whatever they might change their name going into next year. But based on what Kleenex was saying, like after they lost, he was like he doesn't know what the future is, which is crazy because that could mean they just don't have funding to afford
Right.
like these players anymore. And obviously, as a player, you gotta like go where obviously you think you're gonna win, but you have to take care of yourself first. So
Right.
Kleenex a free agent, Inside a free agent. Like maybe they just keep Abe and Joe.
The potential for these moves are endless,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited for this offseason because I think this because of the way this whole season ended up shaping out at the end, um, has left a lot of these teams starting to question their rosters.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, the top teams that, you know, dominated all during the main season, but then at the end here, they now realize that they've got a real problem, and they're just not on the same level with OpTic right now. And to the point with Miami and Vancouver, they've made huge strides. So
Mm-hmm.
all these teams are going to be thinking, we had success this year at some point. Do we stick together? Or, depending on who becomes available, do we take that risk and bring them in?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I have no idea how it's all going to shape up, but I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah. And the other big thing going into this offseason is, every year salaries are getting like cut. So
Hmm.
some teams are just they won't be able to afford certain players, or like if you want to come here, you're making X amount. And that obviously plays like a huge factor into this
Oh
now,
yeah,
where like Miami, like Heretics, there's a chance that this team breaks up, regardless of how like good they are, because of salary.
Right.
which that's a decision you have to make as like any professional player. Like it sucks. Like, do you follow like the salary, especially in COD where you're not making life changing money, but you're probably you've been like a top 3 team, top 4 team right now with your team. Do you risk going to another team and forming like a better team on paper, but you just don't know yet, you know? And
Right.
that's going to play a huge factor going into this offseason. And I don't think like teams like Miami are safe. I don't think Ultra safe. Vancouver, I don't really think is safe either. Those teams could shake up. The only
Yeah.
team you can definitely say is safe is OpTic. And if it's not, and Hook gets fucked over again, like,
When I w-
that
yeah,
would
I
be
wouldn't do it. That would be
insane.
insane. That'd be
Retire.
insane. Yeah.
um,
Yeah, that'd be ridiculous.
but crazier things have happened. So
This is true.
you can't realistically, you shouldn't make a change to your original champs roster. But it has
See,
happened.
and it doesn't work out
No, it never
like New
works out.
York.
Yeah, never
So
works out.
OpTic for sure is going to stick it out, but I think 11 out of the 12 teams are changing.
Yeah,
And I have no idea in what way they're going to change.
Mhm.
Um, but I would be very shocked if there were any of those 11 teams that don't make a change. I think that every
Mhm.
last one of them should. And from what we saw at EWC with some of these rosters and some of these AMs that showed signs of hope and promise, uh, there's a lot of teams that should take those risks
Mhm.
and pick up some of these guys because they could be the next iteration of their team that they end up building around down the line.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to see what the new rosters are going to be.
I can't wait either. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, glad Boston's going to build. I'm excited to see what Boston even does because they got so many possibilities at this point. Like
Do we
every
get
team
Kenny,
does.
bro? Do we get Kenny? That would
Yeah,
be
do we get
sick.
Kenny? Do bring Reese back, man. Like
I
he didn't
know.
get a fair shot on our team.
Do we
Like,
just pick up that whole omit team?
well, yeah, that's the other thing. Like we don't even know rosters. Like is Snoopy gonna still be the guy that the project that Boston has been working on and it's worked, like
Right.
he's developing, or is he off contract? And I for sure know if he's not on contract anymore, their team's interested in him. Like
Right. Oh, no
someone
doubt.
will pick him up. It's not like he won't get a spot.
Right.
And if he gets a spot, he's gonna fucking cook Boston. I just know that because every person that
That's
gets
how it goes
dropped like cooks
every
us.
time. Yeah, it's the worst.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I always love the off season time, and Black Ops 6 was a good year for the CDL in the end. I would say in the beginning, I know it was rough, like for everyone, like players, viewers, because we watched the same fucking maps over and over, and we still watch the same maps over and over through this whole year. But the only reason why I would say it was tolerable was because of like the optics, the phases, and the thieves, and Vancouver and heretics, like just making it so interesting. But I don't
This
want to
was
watch a vault anymore. I'm fucking
me
I'm
either.
tired of that.
This was a year of storylines, no
Mhm.
doubt. There were so many different storylines that were happening at once, with teams rising and falling, and teams that were on the rise, teams that were on the decline. Yeah, it was just chock full of entertaining stuff. So it was a great year overall, and it really did hit its high point at EWC, which I mean, as a fan, you can't ask for a better end to the year. Like the final tournament of the year is where the top teams from the last major tournament, they've all like turned up the dial
Mhm.
and kind of left everybody else in the dust. And it leaves you wondering, like with FaZe and Thieves, you're like, what the fuck happened to these
Exactly.
guys?
Yeah.
Um, and they're like for us right now, it's like, what are they gonna do? You
Mhm.
know, they're probably disgusted
To be
with how they just
continued
did. Exactly. Yeah.
in the
Now
next
both those
episode.
teams are on their villain arc. How do they
Mhm.
rise from the ashes here and show up again?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
man.
I can't wait.
And going into Black Ops 7, I hope the league just takes a step back, looks at the format, and is like, maybe let's try to push for something a little bit different going into next year. Like, get these owners to agree on, look at what EWC did. Let's try to learn from them. maybe let's open up 4 more spots, like just for amateur teams, like to qualify, and they don't need to, these owners should not be like nickel and diming like these other orgs trying to come in for the better of like Call of Duty in general.
Right. Right.
And the way to celebrate a team after winning, like that was awesome to see Shotzi like go up on that elevator. He was humble about it, but I wanted to see him like look into this camera and like scream.
Yeah.
But that's how, you end the year off like that. That was awesome.
No, it was a fairy tale ending for OpTic.
Mm-hmm.
They won the 2 biggest tournaments that you could possibly win, and they solidified themselves as one of the best teams going into next year. And I really hope that they just keep it going for next year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them continue to be at the top, but it's all dependent again on what these teams come back with. Yeah, like how do they respond to this? Do they have some other guy or some other combination of players that is absolutely insane and they really test OpTic? Yeah, who knows? But I wouldn't be stoked if OpTic continued to just like if it was OpTic and Surge and Surge just couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah,
I would be like, all right, come on,
Well,
I want to see some other stuff.
That's the thing we look at it. Right, the OpTic won the 2 most important ones, but tactically, Thieves and FaZe also won too. It's like I want to see these 3 teams, like 3 teams in general, just like duke it out over and over and over again.
Yeah, like I would love to see Major 1, LAT, and FaZe versus this version of OpTic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I just these teams are just trading back and forth,
right?
And we thought we kind of had that in the beginning of this year. And we kind of did. I mean, with Thieves and FaZe, like they were just the best teams in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously OpTic caught up and just played way better at the end.
Right. Right.
But yeah, into the off season we go, and in the next episode we'll see, what these rosters are.
Right.
With that being said, we're going into Black Ops 7, and we'll see you guys next week because we're not stopping.
Nope.
It was sad to see
no breaks for us.
All the watch parties stop. The COD Casuals don't.
No, we keep on rolling through.
We push through, even though it's probably the worst time for us because now it's just waiting for the next game.
Right. But hopefully the off season roster stuff picks up quick.
Yeah.
So that we have there's a lot of moving parts that are going on to it. So we'll have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, and obviously leaks and stuff. The trailer is going to be coming out soon, and we get to see gameplay in a couple weeks. So COD Next. So when COD Next comes out, can't wait to see what Black Ops 7 looks like, and whenever we'll be able to pre-order that night, I'm sure, and get a look at the beta. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, bro.
But yeah, no, if you guys are on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know down below in the comments too if you guys were right of who won EWC, or let us know too what your thoughts of EWC is, because this is the second year that it's been going on, and specifically for Call of Duty, like you and I watch it obviously, but there are a bunch of other games going on. The prize pool is $70+ million, and you and I don't follow the other esports.
We only follow the 1.8
the smallest one. Yeah, side note, the other prize pools are insane, like compared to COD.
Sure.
COD's just so puny.
Right. But 1.8 still is big in COD terms,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know what you guys think about EWC, and like maybe the CDL will restructure their format going into next year.
We can only hope.
Yeah. But yeah, make sure to go to anchor.fm/the COD Casuals, where we're on all streaming platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. If you don't want to listen to the whole thing, we cut it up and put it up on Instagram Reels and TikTok. So go over there to visit our short format content, and make sure to leave a 5-star rating on all platforms because it helps us out a ton. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be ready to get into more Black Ops 7 leaks and news. So yeah, I think that's it.
That's it, bro.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. This has been episode 233 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.